Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thursday 2 to 3 with Mama J Speaks Unlimited. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really super excited that we do have a guest today. It was a divine timing type of effort that did occur. Today with me, I have Joel Jadis. I did say that right.
Jadis.
Jadis, yeah. Jadis. Gosh, I got to get better at that. Anyway, Joel is, in case any of you recognize him, he's known around town, especially in Gulfport, St. Pete, around Pinellas County, right?
Yeah.
For his yoga instruction, for his drumming, and for his meditations and his music. He is the founder and owner of Enter the Sun, which is, I'll let you tell it that. I just was leading you right to it.
Okay, so Enter the Sun is the name of my business, where I kind of merge the yoga, the drumming, and the music to help people become self-empowered and to be ultimately to love and honor themselves and to be victim no more.
Victim no more.
Right.
Lord knows that's the regular mentality in our society. He did that to me. She did that to me.
Right.
Oh.
So using the practices of yoga, I do different things around the community. I work in some of the things are treatment centers for people in substance abuse and recovery, where I go in and do group work with the drumming therapy as well as meditation, deep breathing. The way that I look at it is mindfulness techniques to provide. They're used as tools, again, for self-empowerment, to allow people to take care of themselves, to nurture themselves, to heal themselves, and to, in that, become empowered.
Well, with everything that you have described, was this something that you had personally used yourself, and then as you had used it yourself, you realized that, ooh, this could work for others?
Yeah. So a little bit about my background is I started mindfulness work and meditation when I was 22 or so.
Oh, and you're still like 25, right?
I am. So a few years ago. And so... However, I got away from that and went into the real world, right?
The real world, so, and the dark nights of the souls.
I got married and had children and everything, and I worked. My degree is in biology and chemistry, so with a background in medicine, and I worked in the pharmaceutical world, actually developing pharmaceuticals.
Oh, the original drug dealer.
Yeah,
just playing.
So the O, whatever that is, the ODD. But so I did that and worked in R&D, research and development, creating medicines, because I really wanted to use, my skills and my gifts to help heal people and help, create medicines. And it's a phenomenal, science is a wonderful thing. It's a huge tool to be able to understand the physical universe and to understand ourselves through science.
Right. That's why I'm really enjoying that more and more science and spirituality are starting to combine, and they're starting to see the links more and more, not just back in the day when Tesla and Edgar Casey and a bunch of other different scientists, depending on where they were coming from, they realized it back then. But now in our society, it really is coming to the forefront, which is really, really good with Braden and those guys.
So I was doing that, and ultimately I didn't really believe in the products that we were creating, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, good. You had a conscience. I mean? Yeah. That's so awesome.
And so along that journey was alcohol for me, was one of my things.
Vices, eh?
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So I really was numbing myself away from the spiritual path and away from self-care, like far away from it. And so it kind of drove me crazy. It drove me pretty much,
insane
in the membrane.
Yeah.
Insane in the brain. And so, I couldn't do it any longer, and I ultimately I started getting back into my practices. I quit drinking, started doing the meditation again, submerged myself in yoga, and and through that and the music, reconnecting to the drumming and the music and guitar and singing and just going into it full bore for my own healing.
Mm-hmm.
And through that process, yeah, I wasn't planning on doing that. Like, you know what I mean?
But you got bopped over the head.
So,
and the universe is like,
was waking me up. And so through that, then I evolved into what I'm doing now, which is sharing those tools with others that are in the similar places that I was in. And, you know, and I'm in this journey, right? So we're all in this journey together.
Absolutely.
And we all have different tools to give to each other to remember our truth, to remember our heart.
Yes.
To remember the love within us.
The love within us.
All, you know, all you need is love. And so, but we forget that. And that's what I'm doing, is just making positive impact in the world, in the community, with all my brothers and sisters, and sharing those tools. You know, I work one-on-one with people, using the platform of yoga therapy, giving people customized routines to help them go through whatever they need to do. We do emotional healing through different techniques. We use sound therapy, depending on whatever the person is going through. But I take on private students, individual students, and then also, like I said, go into different places.
Right. You do group settings as well when you do your yoga and your drumming. I have been able to attend one or two here and there.
Yeah.
I want to get back into it. I am on my path to recalibrate my spiritual path as well, because I've been going through a healing process for the past 7-8 years. Mm-hmm. And we've shared our backstories with each other and everything. And in the process, you know how once you end a marriage with somebody, you end up with new partners that come into your life that end up showing you new stuff to work on.
Right.
And so that actually leads me into the reason why I've actually asked Joel to join me today, because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And I know that many people go through their ups and downs in relationships. And I recently came across a crossroads in my life about men in general. And so what stemmed from that was questions. And so Joel and we ended up meeting each other at Wings Bookstore, which is a great place to meet. It was one of those divinely intended type of situations. And he ended up enlightening me with an amazing, what is a real man all about? And so this is what our topic for today is going to be. And I'm really excited about it. So let me start off with this question. It's like I'm just jumping right into the frying pan. Do you think that a man should always be teaching, dominating, and controlling a woman?
I would have to say no to that.
No?
No.
Well, how come?
So that is
what's your take on that?
Okay, so that when we look at man and woman, we can kind of break it down into masculine and feminine energy. And this is like the yoga.
Right.
Right? So even though a man has both the masculine and feminine energy within them, and a woman has masculine and feminine within them, we tend to play that role when we're in a relationship, more the masculine for the man, more the feminine for the woman. And what those words that you said there was domination, control, right? And those tend to be masculine attributes of all of us, not just a man, but a woman too, right? But they tend to be the aspect of the the masculine tendency to want to dominate, to want to control, to want to put organization and order and compartmentalization It's the thinking aspect of us. It's analytical.
Right.
The feminine is, the gifts of the feminine is the feeling, the flowing, right? The emotion. And in the old age, which was the Piscean age, which we're now the end of the Mayan calendar, we're in the new age, right? We're officially in the new age. So it's been coming for a long time. It's the age of Aquarius. And it's the rise of the feminine. And that doesn't mean the feminine movement like
back in the day, the feminist movement.
wanting to be like men.
Right. Oh my gosh. I think that feminist movement was actually a shot in the foot in the grand scheme of things, to be quite honest.
Well, what that is the women taking the roles of men and trying to fight fire with fire.
Right.
As opposed to being the feminine goddess.
Right.
And the men, and then that struggle. And that's the age of the Piscean age. That's the age of domination. That's where we came from. It's the age of information hoarding.
Oh, yeah.
It's the age of control. It's the age of analysis, war.
Lots of wars.
Domination, battle, struggle. And now we're moving into this new age, which, again, is the rise of the feminine. It's the rise of the emotion, not just within the woman, but within the man, too. And so when you say something like the real man, and so what that to me means is a man who is in touch with his feminine and his masculine in balance.
Right.
But still honors and embodies the role of a man, but allows a woman to be her divine feminine and not to try to create a man out of a woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or not to try to create anything, but allowing her to be.
Right. Much like how for a long time us women emasculating men have tried to turn you men into a woman. We have to honor each other for who we actually are. You men are supposed to be the providers, the protectors. But if we're so worried about, I can do it myself, then you guys are like, well, what the hell am I here for?
Right.
And that makes you guys feel like, why should I even continue to try?
Right.
Why should I put my effort into it? And so myself being that type of woman, I was raised that way. So in my very long relationship that was 8 years ago, I was more of the dominating female, but of the course of having those other relationships that come in to teach you, I've realized, wow, I need to back the bus up. And so that's when I have come to realize, okay, it's all right for me to be emotional. It's okay for me to be sensitive. But then here I go and run into this guy that wants me to be a man and says to me that he wants to teach me how to be non-emotional and not be so sensitive and not take things so personally and compartmentalize this and that. And I'm just like, do you want me to be a woman or do you want me to be a man?
Right.
It's totally confusing. So, should the style of teaching be to what works for the woman according to what a woman prefers when she's being taught by a man, or should it be according to what he deems as teaching that comes across domineering, controlling according to his rules and viewpoints?
So you mean teaching as in two people in an intimate relationship?
Right.
So just so we're on the same page, the way that I experience or we can experience a relationship is that we're both teaching each other, right?
Right.
So we're both healing with each other, and we're both teaching, and we're both simultaneously students with each other. So ultimately, it's about being yourself, right? No matter what. It is about being your true, authentic self and allowing yourself to be exactly who you are. And finding and being with someone who honors and respects that authentic self and that true self that has the emotions. And now the gift of a woman is that you have the womb, right? Now we have energetically, it's the second chakra, it's a womb energy. That's where conception happens in the woman. That's where
creativity,
raw creation happens. That's where the art and the music comes from, in a man and a woman. But the woman really embodies that in a way that she has the uterus. She has this monthly cycles, right? She has the connection to the moon. So in yoga, we go, you've heard the word hatha.
Oh, yes.
Hatha is sun and moon.
Ah, okay.
And that practice of hatha is uniting sun and moon. It's balancing masculine and feminine. It's union. In relationship, it's yoga. It's the ultimate yoga. That's
what Kundalini yoga is, right?
It's all yoga.
It's all yoga, no matter what.
It's all yoga. It's union, meaning balancing and uniting masculine and feminine.
Right.
And in relationship, that's a practice of yoga, meaning it's a practice of uniting masculine and feminine.
Right.
Does that make sense? And
totally.
And so
just try and get other people on the same page.
So the thing about it is the woman is gifted with the womb. In that womb is for one, the monthly cycles, the connection to the universe and the flow and the cycles of the moon. We call it the moon cycle, right?
Right, right.
Now, there is knowing and intuition connected there. This is raw creation. Man has this too, but the woman viscerally has that. So she's much more in touch with emotion. She's much more in touch with water element. She's much more in touch with flow. The man can not try to change that, not try to control it, not try to suppress it, but allow it to be and not be enslaved by it either.
Right.
But allow it to be and to provide, not only allowing it to be, but honoring and understanding the woman through talking.
Right. Communication.
Communicating.
Communication is key, people.
And then, and not being enslaved. In other words, what happens is a man can go, well, what am I going to do? I'm like at the whim of these emotions from the woman. It's not about that. It's about honoring and creating a safe space for a woman to be herself. That's the role of a man, is to create a safe place for a woman. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Does it make sense?
And allow her to be. And then also, and so there's a level of understanding, communication, supporting, wanting to, when the emotions are expressed, not to take them personally. Right. Because that's where it becomes like, okay, then this can be a war or something.
Exactly.
Because then I'm the reason all this is coming up. And when the woman tries to project that it's all me, that's not what it is. Right. The truth is that we can hold the safe space for this to happen, be in it here, and hold the reminder to the woman that everything is okay and that I love you and I'm here to take care of you and let you feel your stuff. And guess what? Let me feel my stuff too. Right. Because it's not about me just going cold hard. Well, let me just sit here and not have emotions. Right. It's not that. In the process of actually opening yourself up to being vulnerable,
which is very important,
and allowing a woman to be vulnerable, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you get in touch with what is your feminine side. Right. And it's not.
And it helps with healing your own stuff. And that's where the combination of having the relationship, that's what it's really about, is to be well enough within yourselves to recognize when you're having those moments, but then being able to communicate well with one another, to give each other that sacred space, but also have that love within it to help heal it as well.
Thank you. Yes. So it becomes like anything else. It's a tricky dance, right? However, it's anything but domination. It's more about empowering each other to be who they are. It's not about controlling each other. It's about allowing each other to be who we are. And then in that, the woman will create a safe space for the man, because it's not just a man's job to just hold the safe space for a woman, but it's simultaneous.
Right. It has to be from both. That's where you find the equality in the relationship. It's not the man is above the woman and the woman's below the man, and it's also not the woman above the man either. That's where it's a side by side. Do you believe in the concept of two alpha people cannot be together, or do you really think it's a matter of just learning to be able to have that dance? And
so you mean like
the alpha beta, two alphas, or
right. So in other words, like opposites attract, right? And and then the similar wouldn't,
right,
because it's
right.
Well, there's a certain element of truth to that, and ultimately, I will always say that anything is possible, because who am I to say that, right? Who am I to instill a belief system in anyone? Like, no, you can never be with a like person. Or you must always be with the opposite. No.
Right.
It's ultimately, who you can be yourself around and allow them to be yourself. And you're on a similar path. In other words, your values are the same. You believe in the fundamental values. You're going in a similar direction, and you can support each other in what you're doing without compromising your authentic self, your truth. Like, what is your mission in life? What is your mission in life? Okay? And you come together and you support each other in that, love and support each other, go through it, create things together, have your own separate stuff. And don't compromise who you are for the sake of the relationship.
Oh no, I've been there, done that a couple times.
Right,
that's no good.
You can't change yourself in order to be in a relationship.
Right.
And you can't change someone else in order to be in a relationship. But what you can do is allow yourself to be changed by the relationship.
Exactly.
That's called growth.
You're right. And see, there's where the great debate has come in with certain people that I've had encounters with. So what do you think if a man dismisses the emotional share of a woman? Should that result in the woman not being able to trust the man fully? So basically, for instance, it's a for instance here. I have a certain friend, names will not be revealed, that when I'm simply emotionally sharing myself with him, he totally ends up blocking it and making it be as if it's not valid at all. And that there's something very wrong with me, even though I know within myself it's not me, it's him. And then he wonders why I don't trust him. And I'm telling him why and for what reason I'm not trusting him. And he just thinks I'm absolutely absurd.
Right.
So what's your view on that?
So thank you for sharing that. The way that what I hear there is that when you're trying to share, or when a woman is trying to share, and this could be anyone in a relationship, the man or the woman.
Exactly.
But let's use the woman as an example. And emotion, energy and motion, okay, is a natural part of us. If 99.999% of our stuff is because we suppress emotion, or we try to sublimate it to another place that we don't experience it.
That's the workaholics.
Yeah. Pick your poison, whatever you want to do to suppress emotion.
Right.
We got alcohol, we got needles, we got pharmaceuticals, we got, whatever. So when you're trying to express your emotion and let your emotions come through, this is the cycles of the day. If you think that I'm crazy, look at the sun. The sun rises and it sets, right?
Right.
And it's not always sunny, right?
No.
What has to happen? The clouds come because the sun heats up the water. The water evaporates, it goes and it forms clouds, and next thing you know, we have rain, right? And then when the rain falls, it nourishes the seeds, and the seeds grow, and then the sun comes out and it's there, right? And there we are. Without that, it doesn't work.
Exactly. So you have to have emotions in general.
So you have to have Sometimes you're going to be bright and smiling, and sometimes you're going to cry. Sometimes you're going to feel sad. Sometimes you're going to get angry. Sometimes you're going to get pissed off. Sometimes you're going to feel sad and hurt and lonely and all that stuff. It's about allowing yourself to feel, and don't be a slave to it, but allowing yourself to feel it.
And move through it.
Move through it. And when a man, in that example, the man is saying, you're not supposed to feel that. You got to come to a higher level and not feel your emotion. That's wanting someone to suppress it within themselves, which is going to cause all kinds of stuff. It's going to cause. It could
resentment.
It could cause physical, emotional, spiritual disease. You can get some physical diseases. You can create mental trauma, you know what I mean? You can go into all kinds of dark things when you suppress. Now, when a man does that, of course, the woman's natural thing is going to feel distrust because it's not a safe place for me. So how am I going to trust that this person is right for me, for one, is honoring my truth, and is a safe person to be around? That's the element. Like, trust is all about safety,
right? And it does work both ways for the man and the woman, and that's where the frustration has come in at, because I have constantly been there for him to trust me and allow his emotions, and boy, have I taken some emotions, but I've learned to compassionately detach myself, because I know it's not me. It's not necessarily all about me. It's more about whatever he's going through and what he's working through himself.
Right.
But being the other person on the other side, because I am a compassionate, caring person, it just really sucks.
Not being able to let it flow through you too.
Right.
And having that same space.
Right.
So yeah,
Bam.
ultimately it deteriorates any element of trust. Trust is built by the ability to be vulnerable and to allow your true self to come through without ridicule, without judgment. Now, we're all human, so we're going to go through stuff like that. But if anyone is in a relationship where they feel like they're being suppressed like that, it's, first and foremost, communicate, talk about it. You got to say, look, this is how it makes me feel. I can't trust that you're here for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no communicating with this guy. So I'm just like, bam, okay.
Then it's like, okay, thank you.
Love you, bless you. Thank you for what you've been doing.
And allow that person to know. And look, I'm myself, I was married for 13 years, went through divorce and have 2 beautiful children. And I had to look back, and why am I here today? Because I've had to look back in depth of my relationship on many levels and look at all the places where I was a man and where I wasn't.
Right.
And where I failed to be that space and where I did, and put it all together. It's like
a puzzle.
It's ultimately losing that trust, losing the trust. Because you want to suppress the emotion. And the reason why a man would do that, and anyone in a relationship typically, is because they feel like out of control, right?
Right, within themselves, and they project it onto somebody else.
Yeah, and they take it personally. Like, if I'm, here with you and you're talking about your emotions and you're expressing your anger or whatever it is, even if it is projected on me, I still have to maintain the space that ultimately I can't take it personally, but I can allow it to come through, and then I can tell you, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for acknowledging your feelings. Thank you for expressing yourself. And you doing that made me feel this way too, like, because I'm here too. You know what I mean?
Right. Takes 2 people to tango.
Yeah. And so this is how I felt when in other words, it's usually about some situation between you two, right? It's about maybe you were at the park and you saw this person say a comment to somebody else who you maybe felt was degrading or whatever it is.
Right.
You know, when you talk about it, you bring it up to the surface, you communicate it, you feel the emotion, you allow yourself to feel it. I maintain a space of allowing you to feel that, to express it, not to suppress it, but then tell you how I feel too and how I felt there, or maybe how this makes me feel like in similar situations, right?
Right.
Because I don't have to take it personally, but guess what? The truth is, if you're expressing an emotion to me, there is a reason why I'm experiencing that for my own learning too.
Oh, yes.
Does that make sense?
It's underlying.
There's something in it for me that
Mm-hmm.
that if I can look at how, in my experience, do I feel the same way?
Mm-hmm.
And you're allowing that to surface in me. So it could be something totally unrelated to me, but I could look at myself and love you for that. And then look, well, how is that happening for me?
Why am I so pissed off?
Yeah, like what do I need to be angry, or what am I suppressing my anger for, or how am I angry for,
Right.
you know, at who in my experience? And that can help me connect the dots of what I'm going through too.
Exactly. Because it can end up being something from generations, from past life, or just your family traditions of the generational aspect of the emotions and how they dealt with things and stuff like that, which is it's just amazing how our family history does really affect.
That's typically all. It's narrowed down to mother father
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we have brother sister, we have our other relationships that we were into prior to any relationship. We have friends, right? But it really, ultimately, you whittle it back down to mom and dad, and those are the primary masculine and feminine.
Right.
That's the yoga, right?
Exactly.
The uniting of masculine and feminine, mom and dad,
Mm-hmm.
the spawning of me, and then my experience of primary masculine, primary feminine, and all the conditioning that happens there.
Lots of conditioning.
Whether I was sexually abused, emotionally abused, verbally abused, whether I was abandoned,
physically
whether I was suppressed,
neglected.
Typically, we go down to two fears. It's the fear of abandonment
Mm-hmm.
and the fear of being suppressed or engulfed or imprisoned. Those are the two primary fears. The feminine within us, the fear is being abandoned. We don't want to be alone.
No.
Right? And this is whether you're a man or a woman.
Alone.
The masculine within us doesn't want to be imprisoned.
Right.
Whether you're a man or a woman.
I've been there too.
Right?
I don't like being imprisoned. I don't like feeling lonely. It's different when you choose, like if there's people around me and I choose to go be by myself, that's different to when I've lived by myself and my children say aren't with me that week because they're with their dads or whatever. And I'm just sitting in my own space. I've gotten used to being by myself.
Mm-hmm.
That took some time. That whole saying, you got to learn to be by yourself. Woo!
Got to marry yourself first. Right?
Yeah, that was some getting used to, because a lot of people were raised not to be okay with who we are. We were raised not to love ourselves.
Love yourself.
We're raised to criticize and to judge. And the moment that I started to loving myself for all my foibles, for all my flaws, for everything else, I began to be a less judgmental person.
Mm-hmm.
I began to be much more forgiving because I learned to really first start forgiving myself more than anything else. And when I make mistakes, instead of like calling myself horrendous names and everything else, I just say, oops.
Yeah.
And then that's how I tend to look at other people when they make a mistake. There are moments where I have that little dominating control freak that still lurks, that comes out, and but it doesn't last as long as it had been years ago. Thank goodness.
Yeah. So, and yes, there is the necessity for us to have time alone we call it solitude, right? In a way that you can understand yourself and not, in other words, if you came right out of the chute and you're with somebody, boom,
Mm-hmm.
there is a wonderful amount of learning in anything, right? However, if you don't have the tools and techniques or the teachers around you that are helping you maybe outside of that relationship, you can get so lost in that where
yes.
you lose all individuality and you blame the other person. And it's really like we were saying before, it's about healing mommy daddy stuff.
Right.
It's about healing mom dad stuff. It's masculine, feminine energy within us and like the projections and the blames. So any relationship can ultimately heal that, but you have to, if you're going to really, really, really get to the nuts and bolts of healing it, you have to come to a high level of awareness that it's not, what comes to mind is, you ever heard of the book Radical Forgiveness?
I have, actually. I just have not read it yet. But have you heard of the book Gifts of Imperfection?
I haven't.
By Brene Brown.
Okay. And I'm
You'll love that one too.
Yeah, the author of Radical Forgiveness is like on its way to me right now, but
you'll spit it out
that's
in a minute.
That's a really good book just about like instantaneous forgiveness and going like, wow, this isn't about this person. This is about me and my stuff I'm going through and them and their stuff they're going through, and that we're exactly the same. Ultimately, we are these beautiful lights, right?
Reflections and mirrors of one another.
Yeah, the way that I look at it is like we're in various levels of remembering our
truth.
Our truth. And when I see that in me, I can see it in everyone, and that's where the judgment falls away, and that's where forgiveness
really takes
everyone.
over. Yeah, it really takes over.
Everyone. So everybody. That's why we love our brothers and sisters, right? All you need is love. Thank you, brother. Colin Tipping, right? Yes, Radical Forgiveness. Thank you. So
see, it was downloaded.
There it was.
Bam.
Thank you. And so yes, all you need is love. All you need is love within the self, and then you can forgive all, because we are all exactly the same. Now, the thing about it is, so then why do we go into relationship then? Why do we want to be with somebody? Why don't we just stay alone?
Well, because we're not meant to be alone. Because
it's much more what? It's much more
rewarding and more
fun,
more
exciting,
connecting. Yeah, when you have someone to share with. Overall.
It's variety. So yes, there is an element and a necessity for safety and security, but there's also a basic need for us that is needing uncertainty, needing variety. Mm-hmm. Relationship brings a huge amount of variety for us. Just one person. I'm not saying go out and have a bunch of relationships because that will actually...
No harems, no himums.
That will blur your energy field and make things more confusing.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're in one relationship, that can give you as much and more variety than you can ever imagine, because you're going through it together, and you're honoring and you're evolving and you're changing and you're allowing someone to change and you're both growing and contributing your truths. So it's so much more than just doing it on your own. People think that the spiritual path is a lonely path. It doesn't have to be.
No, I don't believe it should be. I'm finally okay with the idea that I'm no longer worrying about whether or not I'm going to find somebody or meet somebody, because God always sends me someone, and always has and always will. But ultimately, to have that companion again to share and build another book of what my life adventure is going to be, I've put my order in. I'm waiting to see what God says.
And that's a huge thing, is writing down your optimum scenario. Like another, there's so many things that I would like to get to, but
Yeah.
Writing it down.
Mhm.
Writing down your optimum scenario, your perfect partner, writing it down. I prefer blue ink because that's the ink of manifestation. That's the throat chakra.
Really? Oh,
So when you wanna-
that's why I like blue.
When you want to let go of stuff, write it in black ink.
Ah.
That's the dark, let it go.
Okay.
Blue is the color of manifestation, the throat chakra. This is where the sound comes from. In the beginning was the word.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Om in the beginning. That's the sound vibration. Now that's the blue color. So when we write that and we look at it and we read it, we're actually using that power of the throat chakra and the power of manifestation. We think it's weird stuff or whatever. It's not weird. It's real.
It ends up being very, very
and
real.
Don't give up on your optimum scenarios. Don't give up on your dreams. People will come in
and distract you,
and maybe they'll fit this and that, and then maybe they will be this person, but you also have to make sure you stay in tune with your dreams, and then
right,
love and honor, and then boom, love and honor, boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to give up. It's not about giving up.
Well, what about the man who thinks it's his duty to break a woman down and then build her up, along with being the one to say or determine if a woman is a queen or not?
Okay. I would say, and of course, everything that I'm saying is a pure suggestion. Every answer is within everyone's heart. My answers are going to be different than the ones that are in your heart, but my suggestion is that no, it wouldn't be the responsibility of a man to break a woman down, and then to rebuild her. It's about allowing a woman to be who she is,
right,
and allowing her fullness, allowing the space for her fullness to come to fruition, and to be her empowered feminine goddess. Because I'll tell you what, that's happening. And if you don't get into the flow of the universe, then it's going to be more of a struggle for you. And I'm talking to those of us out there that want to dominate and control, and to try to break down. That's the old paradigm.
Right. There's a new paradigm that you come together as whole people and you see how you guys can do stuff together. It's not a matter of, oh, will you come into my life and fix me? And let me come into your life to fix you. No, it's just pure acceptance of, okay, how much baggage you got? Well, I got this much baggage. How much baggage? Okay, let's be in balance, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah,
you know?
And so all of us are going to have stuff, right, to heal through. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in relationship at all. And to grow, contribute to each other, and to grow. Now, it's not my job as a man to break a woman down and then build her up to see if she becomes my queen. That's what it was.
Right.
It's more like allow a woman to be herself and to create a space for her, honor her, love her, respect her, understand her. Don't try to be understood, but understand. When you actually go to the level of trying to understand someone, then you will understand yourself. And present this aspect, this side of your part of the relationship. Allow her to be that, and allow her to be her queen. She is the queen. All women are queens. All men are kings.
Right.
Now, the thing about it is, we can have preferences, right?
Absolutely.
Like this woman and the queen that she is, she's not my queen. This woman is in the queen that she is, she's not mine. My queen is my preference. We all have our preference, right? And
exactly.
That's the beautiful thing. We don't have to be the same. No. I don't have to make. The thing is, the old paradigm is I have to create, like I have to control the creation of my queen.
Right. No.
Let's allow the queen to be.
Appear. Allow the queen to appear, because there was a period of time where this particular person was in my domain, and I allowed him to stay with me for a period of time to assist him and help him. And he came at me, who are you to be a queen and acting like a queen? And I came back with, well, It's my queendom. You're within my realm. Of course I'm the queen. You don't come in here and just act like you're the king. And I built this. I've been on my own for quite some time. I know where I am within myself. Yes, I am a queen. I don't need you telling me when or how much I should be a queen or when I should not be a queen. I am as I am. Accept me as that, and I'll accept you as that. That didn't go around too far because he didn't like the fact that I actually stood up for myself. Okay. So I'm definitely seeing that those particular characters in my life are ones that, no, I don't want a man that's going to be controlling and dominating. And I'm sure a lot of you women out there, you don't want a man that's dominating and controlling, but you also don't want the type of man that you can walk all over either.
Right.
I really don't want that type of man either. No. I do want a man that, when necessary, yeah, he can put me in my place, but in a way that I will respect him and not resent him.
Right.
So, do you have any closing thoughts or ideas about our little conversation today? And thank you so much for sharing your perspective and everything.
Thank you for
with
having
everyone.
Me. Yeah. And so ultimately what it's about is being, from my perspective, being united and free simultaneously. So you're united, but you're also free to be who you are. And being a man who's in touch with his emotions is not about being walked over. It's about being strong, but also being understanding. You know, not trying to dominate, but not being dominated. So, you know, it's about allowing the person you're with to be free to be themselves, allowing yourself to be free to be yourself, but also having the security of the relationship. So you have a sense of security and safety, but also freedom, because those two can be, security can secure.
Right. Where you're like suffocating somebody.
Right. That could be like the antithesis of freedom. But
and that feels like controlling as well.
Exactly. The balance is security and freedom. And so reminding and acting in that way. So it's all about actions too.
Absolutely.
You know, how are you being free yourself, and how are you allowing the person to be free? Not freedom in the way that you go out and have all these other things that are behind the back. No.
Right,
this is
right.
Transparency, open, honest communication. Everything is on the table. And, you know, you could achieve that united and free, safety and freedom.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joel, for joining me today. And thank you, everybody that got to tune in. Tune in a little bit later from 7 to 8 with Late Enough with Mama J. I hope you really found this to be an inspiring and insightful show today. Definitely contact me on my Facebook page, MamaJSpeaks.com. It's on Facebook. And be sure to know that at any time you are allowed to call in and contribute. Hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Namaste. Bye.
Bye-bye.